ladies. Welcome to the Deep Dive with E and K. My name is Esther, short for E. Also, don't call me Esther, even though it's spelled like that. This is
Carrie, also short for K.
And this is the Deep Dive.
Yes, so this is our vlog in which we will be taking you through the introspective and the self-reflective journeys that we have gone through as we learn to dig deeper.
Absolutely. So, ladies, grab a glass of wine or Hennessy. We don't judge, whatever works for you. And join us for today's topic. We're going to be talking about you ain't in control, sis. I know some of you might need a sip hearing that. And we'll come to you every Friday with new content. So let's get started.
Yeah. So as Esther mentioned, our vlog is called You Ain't in Control, Sis. So I know that you're probably thinking like, what do you mean by that? But it is very self-explanatory. You're not in control. And one of the things that we've learned in our journeys is to appreciate and accept that we're not in control. And where we thought we would be, it's not really where we are, but you're not in control, okay? You just kind of have to sometimes go with the flow.
And you gotta let go.
Let it go, let it go.
And I know that's hard to hear. Trust me, I've realized I am, a control freak. Okay, not a little bit. I am a control freak. I like to know what my outcomes. I want God to be like, I want the universe to be like, hey girl, go to door A and everything will be okay.
No, it does not work like that. So the first thing that we want to just talk to you about as far as letting go and understand that you're not in control, sis, is to talk a little bit about age pressures. So I'm 28 years old. I forgot for a quick second. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I'm 28 years old.
It's like tomorrow you're turning 29.
No, really. Yes, my birthday is May 28th. Shout out to all my Geminis and my May babies. I love you all. And I will be turning 29. And 29 for me is the very last age of your 20s. Not just for me, but for everybody in the world. It's your last age for your 30s. Listen, I do too. Ooh, hopefully, if you're 29, you got your glass, because yes.
Ooh,
so it's just there's a lot of pressures with being 29 or going on 29. And, let me tell y'all, and Esther, I'm probably sure you did this too, girl.
Yeah.
When I remember distinctly being 16 in high school, mapping out and planning what I would be doing at 29. And let me tell you,
you were doing that when you met.
Because let me tell you, COVID wasn't on my list. But regardless, COVID wasn't on anyone's list. Let's be real.
We didn't ask for this.
No, we did not ask for this. But in theory, I thought I'd be married. I thought I'd have my house. I thought I'd be thriving in my career. I thought I'd have at least 2 to 3 kids by now. I thought all of those things, and reality check, boom. I am 28 going on 29, single as single can be. I'm also nowhere near anybody's kids. I mean, I'm a teacher, educator, so I'm by people's kids, but I don't have my own. I don't have a house. Okay, I live in an apartment in Brooklyn, paying crazy rent, but that's neither here nor there. Don't have my own house, and I think I'm thriving in my career. I would say that. I think that's the part where I'm like, okay, so that's it right there. That's my personal journey of just let it go, sis. You ain't in control, clearly.
No, that's real. And for me, I mean, as you know, I've always been more younger. Me was more I'm 27. I always gotta think about that. I feel like after 25, I stopped counting.
Right, I'm not yeah.
That was the milestone birthday, and everything else was I'll be 28 in July. But shout out to all my Leos / Cancer Leo cuss babies.
Oh, cuss baby.
Yes, I am a cuss baby. But I was always more go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. And I feel like as I got older, I became more of a control freak and more thinking about, where I'm going to be, where I'm going to end up. If I do this, and that, will it lead me to this outcome? And I don't know why that happened, because I wasn't like that younger. Like younger, I was more like, hey, whatever happens, I'm gonna be happy either way, because that's just where I'm supposed to be. And somehow I took a turn. And like for me, the pressure has for myself has been more career wise. Like I thought I figured out my dream job, and I thought I figured out like where I was supposed to be, what I wanted to be. And then recently it was like, actually, no, you haven't. So I'm basically back to the drawing board of trying to figure it out. And this is after getting a master's. And it's like, was that master's for nothing? Like, I mean, can I end up applying my master's? Like, what is going to come of all of this? I really have no idea, but I'm comfortable with being okay letting go. And then also the other part of age pressure is that I come from a very traditional Haitian family that growing up, it was always like,
come on, I need these.
Education. And somewhere, somehow, I missed the memo. They like flipped the lid. It was like, so when's the wedding? And when are you getting married? And where are these kids? And I'm like, pause. Y'all were pushing us to get...
Yes.
Pushing us to focus on our studies for so long. My thing is, I'm not in a rush for any of that, because I believe like when the time comes for all that to happen, I think that like that's just an additional pressure that as the age piece is when your family is like constantly hounding you about these things and reminding you that they themselves are getting older, so they want to see grandchildren and they want to see these milestones happen for you. And as much as I appreciate that, it just adds an unfair pressure to me and to you that you're like, yo, chill, like, can I go through the processes that I need to go through? Because my thing is like, when I say I do to whoever I say I do to, when I have kids, those are not things I would like go back on. I want that to be very certain, very sure. And like, if I'm going to be a mom, I want to be the best mom ever. If I'm going to be a wife, I want to be the best wife ever. I don't want to just do it just to make anybody else happy. But I just think that adds the pressure when my aunt goes, hey, I have a dress in the back of my closet waiting. This what? For what?
No, that's not happening right now.
It just is a lot.
I feel you. I actually have a question for you that I kind of think maybe some of our viewers would have. How were you able to, I guess, settle in on the fact that it is okay to let go? Because I feel like that's the part that's difficult. Like everybody says, let that go, let it go, sis. Like you're not in control. And it all sounds great in theory, but like it seems like you really were able to say like, I'm okay in this season of letting it go. So like, how was that easy for you? And then I'll even share like my experience, but like ultimately like that's really what I'm sure like maybe people are thinking. Like, how did you do this? Like, why are you so okay?
Great question. Honestly, I hit rock bottom. Like literally, I think last year was hard for me emotionally in the sense that I think like I'm one of those people that I learned this about myself, that when I get so super stressed, it impacts me physically. Like I physically get sick and my body starts, attacking itself. And so last year I was just like health-wise, just like everything was empty. And I couldn't pinpoint like why. I remember going to the doctor and they're like, yeah, I mean, nothing's really coming up. So it realized it was stress. And then when you get to the point where it's like you're so trying to control everything and trying to make things go the way that you have in your mind, like your vision for your life, right? Your vision for your life, not life's plan for you or God's plan for you, but your vision for your life. And then things are not working out the way you had envisioned. You just try to regain control more and more. And so for me, it started to impact me medically. It started to impact me emotionally. I remember I had to go to therapy because I was so down in the dumps. Yeah. And I realized at some point it was like, yo, you are in control of your emotions. Like you are in control of you. So my thing is this, like, clearly this path is not working and all you do is you keep feeling worse about yourself. So if what you're trying to do is not working and you've already hit rock bottom, like what's left Like, I can't go any lower. And it's too, I mean, we brought up COVID-19 earlier, but I feel like that's a biggest reminder of that we're not in control, because at the end of the day, whatever's going to happen, life is going to happen. Like, you know, I didn't foresee my grandfather dying last year, even recently, as of like this past weekend, losing my grandmother. Like, none of those things were written into my quote unquote perfect plan for my life, but life throws you curveballs, and at some point it's like, is it gonna break me or is it gonna make me stronger? And I had to wake up one day and just make the decision that I'm not gonna keep letting these things break me. Instead, I'm gonna take all these lemons and literally make lemonade, because if I see my life from a grateful perspective and look at it from more of what are the lessons from all of these failures and roadblocks, then that's like, it's better for my spirit than to be broken every time I get a curveball. Because if that's the case, I'd be like the most depressed person ever, because there's just so many curveballs that you just don't see coming, and we're literally not in control.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like rock bottom was your, I can't control it. You know, that's valid. That's valid. Like, it's very true. Like, when you hit that rock bottom moment, like, you realize that everything that even brought you to rock bottom, you didn't have control over. Whether that was a death in the family, whether that was COVID, whether that was just a job release, or just whatever it is that you had no control over, that left you in rock bottom. That is the place where it's like, yo, like, I didn't cause any of this to happen to me. I didn't write this down on my plan and it happened, you know? So that's like, that's very valid. Like, that makes perfect sense. Like, rock bottom being a reason to say, like, I can't control everything. Yeah, I feel you.
What about you, sis?
Oh my goodness. So to be really, really honest, and this might sound corny and cheesy for some people, but I've been watching Transformation Church. And yes, if y'all don't watch, listen, if you have not been put on, please guys, like, Transformation Church with Pastor Mike Todd, everything, like, he's anointed man of God, and like, the word is for us, like, for real. But anyway, yeah, like, he like said a lot about like ripping up your list, and like, he gave like a lot of sermons around, like, these past 2 sermons were around essentially you not being in control, like, God is in control. And like, yes, it might sound corny for some people, but honestly, like, as I was listening to him, it was like illuminating for me to really realize, like, no, you're right though. Like, I can write a list of all the things I thought, or all the things that had happened in my life that I didn't plan for, and all the ways in which I thought I'd be somewhere that I'm actually not. And I'm like, yo, he's speaking facts. Like, essentially, at the end of the day, we write lists, we create, we plan, and God laughs. He's like, you did it. But whatever. Or maybe it will happen, but the way it's going to happen is not the way you planned for.
But the timeline.
Right. So, like, as cheesy as that may sound, like, essentially, it wasn't so much of a rock bottom for me personally. It was more like a reality check. It was like, no, for real though. Like, if you were to really look in your phone right now and see the plan you had laid out when you were like 2 or 3 years ago, that's not where you are 2 or 3 years later. So everything this man is saying on this sermon series is everything that you're experiencing. So like, it aligns. It is clear as day that at the end of the day, you can plan. You can put it in your phone. You can make a list. You can write everything out, and it doesn't work out. I think about the amount of lists I've written about the men I want. Boom. That ain't, ooh,
the qualities and traits.
Not only did that not happen, but this actually kind of goes a little bit into our next point, like, understanding that what you consider our failures are actually a thing that you need to let go. It's not a failure. It's for your purpose. It's for your good. All things work together for good. You know, not to quote Bible here, but just saying, if you're interested, Romans 8:28, go ahead and look at that scripture. But all things happen for good. Like, I've had relationships that I was like, yo, bro, like, that is not what I wrote down when I said I wanted a man. Like, when I said I wanted someone who was empathetic and protective and smart and this and that and that, I didn't expect to get an insecure man in a package. I didn't ask for that. So just to put that out there, like essentially I had my plan, but there are holes in my plan. There are things that I don't see. And I realized that when what I thought was my plan comes to fruition or comes to pass, like there's still things missing. There's still things that I did not plan for. There's still things that I did not write down on my list. And it reminds me that I actually don't have control. The list that I created, I need to rip that up, as Pastor Mike Todd said, and I need to get rid of it because like, I mean, I'm telling y'all, I've written lists about my future. I've written lists about my career. I've written lists about my relationships, and none of that has happened. None of it. Like, I mean, I would get one thing on the list, and then there'd be like 50 other holes. And I'm like, whoa, like, that's crazy. So you see that one thing in a man, and you're like, yes, I got him. That's gay. That's my husband. That's, ooh, yes. And then you realize, ooh, but he insecure. Ooh, but he controlling. Ooh, but, ooh. But he tall, dark, and handsome. That's on my list. And then you realize tall, dark, and handsome is there, but he's, it ain't there. So, yeah. All in all, I say, yeah. For me, it was a reality check. It wasn't rock bottom. It was a reality check. It was like, realize that in all your years, your list never aligned with your reality. And that's something that you have to think about. Like, does my list align with my reality? And if it doesn't, then clearly you need to let it go.
No, you hit on several points. I mean, like even by the time I got to when you shared Pastor Mike Todd with me, which, you know, I've rededicated myself to God because I finally found a church home that, you know, that's a different topic about spirituality. But by the time I got to that message, it was like literally where I was at mentally. It was like God was just like basically speaking to me like, hey, this is what I've been saying to you since last year, right in front of your face. But also one of the points you made about not seeing things as failures, but also like the piece about like when you get a list about, you know, for example, like the kind of man or woman, whatever partner that you're looking for, and it doesn't align. One of the things we don't always think about is that, like, where are we, right? Because you attract where you're at, even if that's not what you may want at the moment.
If there's preaching, y'all. If there's preaching, y'all better write this down. Y'all better get it, lock it in.
That's
where you are at. Keep that.
That's where you gotta think deeper, because it's less about, okay, part of it is, yeah, you may have ideas about what you want in a partner, but if you yourself are not there, then you're not going to attract that partner. I don't care what you do, what you say, you're not going to attract that partner. You got to do your self-work first.
Yes. Can I just quickly add, though, the beauty, though, I know this might sound weird, but the beauty in that is that when you attract where you are, when you attract where you are, especially in a relationship, it is reflected back to you where you are. So, for example, for my life, if I'm like in a relationship, like, and the man is insecure, it actually like bounces off on me, like, oh shoot, I think I'm, or maybe there's something that I'm a little that I don't got all the way together. So I'm reminded, the fact that I even chose you, bro, just tells me a lot about where I was when I chose you, or where I was when I dated you, and something that I need to think about. So that's another thing, not just like attracting where you are in life, but when you do attract that situation or person or thing or whatever, it kind of is a mirror. It's like, oh, you attracted crazy, you might be a little crazy. Maybe not. And it might be not crazy the way that person is crazy. It might not be insecure the way that person is insecure, but there's something in it that's small, but just as a reminder of like, you need to get that healed, or you need to work on that. You need to process through that. And I definitely have had that experience where I'm like, I'm not fully insecure, but there's things about me that could be a little insecure, and it's being revealed in this relationship.
No, absolutely. And that's like a really critical point. And then also this whole thing about not seeing things as failures. I know that it's easier said than done. And I like, this is coming from literally personal experience, that it is easier said than done. And it took so long to get to this point to like literally see the world this way. But I think about like some of the worst things that's happened to me, some of the most heart-wrenching, heartbreaking things that's happened to me have all made me into the person I am today. And I'm like, I know there's more things that's going to happen to me. However, I'm not afraid anymore of that. It's more like, oh, what lesson, what gems can I take from this situation? Because all of it helps me to grow better. Even like if we're gonna focus, like let's say on like relationship dynamics, it's like how do you learn what you don't want in a partner until you know you've dated that frog?
Yes.
I mean, it's like, oh no,
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. And then you're like, okay, for the next time I won't do this. The same thing is like you go into a job position and then you didn't excel the way you had foreseen yourself excel, but then it's like, actually, I don't want to be a manager. I don't want to
Talk about it.
supervise
Talk about
people.
it.
Or, you know, maybe this, you know, working directly
Yes.
was not the line for me. Like, you don't know until
Or friendship.
Yeah.
Friendships. I
am
you
so
realize you're like, oh, I don't want that
friends.
kind of friend. Yeah, I don't want that kind of friend in my life. I
Yeah.
don't want that kind of person to be my bestie, or I don't want them around me. Or business partners. I don't want that kind of person to deal with my money and my ideas. Like you really start to, that's a perfect point. When you start to, what you think is a failure is actually a set up for your next journey or your next like experience. It's like now you've learned, take the lessons from that learning and now push it forward and be like, oh no, I dealt with a person like that, I know what that's like, and I'm good, I'm gonna move forward and do this instead.
Absolutely. Even though right now I don't know where I'm going career-wise, you know, I try, you know, I like literally put myself out there and I went out, you know, on my own, whatever, for a while. And it was the most wonderful learning experience. And then I also realized that this is just not fully it, but I have no regrets about that decision because all the skill sets I've learned are going to come into use some ways down.
They
Don't
are.
know how. I just know it was going to come down to fruition. Like it's going to come down to something. And then also I know that all of it leads me closer to whatever my actual career path is supposed to be. Like I don't regret my master's degree whatsoever because it was amazing. I learned so much. I met great people. And I also know that's going to come into fruition down the line. Like not even like I said, it can be a horrible experience, but it's literally thinking, yo, that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, is literal facts. If it doesn't kill you, it's going to make you stronger. You just gotta reflect back. Hey, okay, this didn't work. Why? What role did I play in this failing? What can I take away? What lesson? How can I do better next time? And take that and walk away. You gotta sometimes let go of the baggage, but you still always take your lessons. That is the thing you carry with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to add as well to that point, like you're so right. Like at the end of the day, like what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And the beauty of our I guess our hurt, our pain, our failure is testimony. At the end of the day, we are doing this. We're sharing our experiences with you all. We're telling you what we've been through. Take it or leave it, but we're sharing it so that you're able to know, like, hey, these are some possible circumstances or situations.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. And like testimony, like some people see a failure and nothing comes out of it. But what comes out of it is word of mouth. It is your testimony. It's you telling another person who's experiencing the same thing and feeling the same thing. That right there is the purpose in your failure. People see their failure and like, oh, like, what do I do with this? Like, it's not like the failure allows me to choose something different, but what it allows you to do is to spread what you've experienced to others. Like, look at all these motivational speakers and these inspiring people, like they're sharing their testimony, they're sharing their story, and you hear it and you're like, oh shoot, like, wow, that makes me feel like a bigger person or a better person, whatever, like it makes you feel. So like, even if you feel like you've experienced any kind of failure in life, the lesson or the thing that you can take from it is that your experience can better someone else. Your experience can push someone else. Your experience can lift someone else someone else from a very dark situation. And like, don't shy away from sharing your experience, even if you think it's a failure. Like, it is your failure that gives someone else light. It is your failure that gives someone else love. So even if you don't feel like you don't know where to go with this failure, understand that in your failure and in the testimony of your failure, people are finding inspiration, people are finding motivation, people are finding love, they're finding a way to get out of their own rock bottoms and their own tunnels. And essentially, like, that's what me and Esther are here for. Like, we want to share our journey, share our testimony, share our lessons, our failures, and hopefully help you to, like, you know, overcome any situations or rock bottoms, or just to hear advice, hear another point of view, you know? So never think of your failure as anything. Even if you can't derive a full lesson from it, it's always just think about the transfer of it. And being able to say, this is what I've experienced, here's what I don't want you to experience, so let me share it to you. Or here's what I experienced, here's some advice, or to uplift other people. So never think about a failure as like a failure, because if anything, a failure is always a way to better others. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then the thing too is that, like, you know, and this leads to our next topic, is that you have to not compare yourself to others. Like, we are speaking purely based on our individual experiences, but you can only walk in your own walk. Like, it is your personal journey. There is no timeline. There is no anything associated with it. Like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And comparing yourself to others is like one of the worst things you can do to yourself. Like, it's one of the worst ways to show yourself love. Because, and this is something that I don't, you know, this might be a Caribbean thing. I know it's definitely a Haitian thing, but growing up, my family was always like, oh, look what so-and-so's kid is doing. So-and-so kid is this. So-and-so kid is excelling in this way, or whatever. I was always the kid, like, what that got to do with me, you know, but I was a smart ass. But, but the point of it is that, like, sometimes we focus so much on looking at other people's grass that we're not focusing on watering our own grass. Right. So while you're focusing on so-and-so, you know, is, you know, at 29 is married and they got kids and they got this, they got that, and I don't got none of that, and you're feeling bad about yourself, you really don't know what it took that person to get all the things they did. You don't really know what goes in that person's home. You don't know what their everyday looks like. You don't know what their struggles, triumphs look like. You just see the end result, the outcome. Because the truth of the matter is, why it's hard to let go and we not in control and to trust the process is because we're trying to get the outcome. I am guilty of this. I've been so focused for so many years of trying to get to outcomes, I didn't want to go through the process. If it is like,
say it again. Say it again. I'm sorry. One more time. What?
I didn't want to go through the process.
One more time for the people in the back.
The process.
Esther, there are people in the back, sis. You got to do it one more time.
You cannot focus on the outcome without going through the process.
Come on.
And that's the key. Like, when I say I am saying this from somebody who was so attached to outcomes, so I know some of you are probably like, girl, bye. No, I'm dead serious. Like, you can't do this to yourself. It is so unhealthy. You have to go through the process. You can't always find the easy way out. Sometimes you do gotta go and climb the mountain and fall back down and then go back up and fall back down and then go back up and fall back down before you ever reach the top. Like, it is literally a process, and you may never truly reach the top, but you reach your top. Like, at the end of the day,
that's beautiful. You reach your top. That's what's important. Not other people's top and what they got going on. Your top, what works for you. We're all individuals. We have our own individual purpose. What works for you, not what works for the world. Yeah.
Like, I've heard friends say, you know, oh, I thought I would graduate and have this and such degree by this point. That's who says you have to follow this traditional graduate high school, then I go to 4-year college, then get a master's if I choose to. Like, nobody says that. You can decide to approach it from there's different entry points, the different doorways. What works for you doesn't work for somebody else. What works for me doesn't work for Carrie, and then vice versa. Like, it is your own walk. So instead of focusing on what, you know, Betty over there is doing, focus on what you need to do for the betterment of you.
Yes.
Take a sip on that.
That is a sip moment. Hold on, wait. Listen, I do want to add though to your point, Esther, about comparing yourselves. Let me tell y'all, Carrie was queen. Compare yourself. I mean, I didn't probably get to the place of not comparing until I want to say like 4 years ago. I compared myself like with everyone. I mean, mainly people I'm closest to. So like close friends. I compared myself with close coworkers or friends who became coworkers. I was like, even Esther.
You
Even
used to pick
Esther.
your stuff up about work so much, and I said,
But
"Girl,
even Esther, I'd be
down."
like, no, I'm gonna tell a true story. And Esther obviously knows this is my best friend, but she obviously knows this. But for real, like her relationship at one point was thriving, and when I was in a relationship, mine wasn't, and I compared myself. And that was 2 years ago, like 2 years ago. I literally was jealous. I was like, yo, like what's going on? Like I wanted this. I wanted the amazing relationship with the man who loves me and the man. Listen, I was deep in the feelings. Okay. So even 2 years ago, I compared myself. So to be honest, like comparing myself is a battle I haven't struggled with most recently, like in the past 2 years. Potentially, you know, be something that I struggle with from time to time. Like as life goes on, it's not something I'm like completely thinking will never happen again. I'm sure it will. But one way that I would say that I've overcome, or at least tried to be mindful of the goodness that lies within myself, is just thinking a lot about like Esther said, like reaching your own mountaintop. Like at the end of the day, like life is not a race to compete against other people. Like you're going to feel the most fulfilled and the most best version of yourself when you're doing what is meant for you and your purpose. And I just want to quickly talk about something I remember. I remember listening to another podcast called Jesus and Jollof. So if you haven't watched that, listen to that with Yvonne Orji and Lovia Jaye, please get on that one. And they had said something about like, you go to the grocery store, right? And you see all types of bread, but they're different brands, and everybody has their own spice. They buy their own bread. I may want Nature Valley. I may want this. I may want that. Like everybody, at the end of the day, they're all bread. Or you go down the island, you see water, you see Smart Water, Fiji Water, Poland Spring, whatever. At the end of the day,
people hate the Dasani.
Right. But at the end of the day, you choose what's best for you. And at the end of the day, you do what you do. And like that allowed me to remember that, like, you know, when I think about competition, like I am one of those water bottles. I'm one of those pieces of bread, and like I'm gonna do me. And at the end of the day, like someone's gonna pick my bread, someone's gonna pick my water, because we need to drink and we need to eat, right? We need to do what we need to do. So I think that's one way that I've tried to overcome it, is that, like, you know, if I want to one day be a principal of a school, like, yes, there are 1,000,001 principals of a school, but how Carisha does it is going to be different than how my friend next door does it and my friend up the block does it, or whatever. And at the end of the day, we need to support each other versus thinking about like comparing ourselves, because there's something that we all have within ourselves that is unique to our experience and ourselves. Even if it looks the same, at the end of the day, it is 100% unique to your experience and who you are. So that's kind of like what helps me to cope with comparison. Like, you are a unique being by yourself. There's no other Carrie on this earth. No other Carrie. There might be Carrie imposters, but there's no Carrie on this earth. There's no Beyonce. Beyonce is Beyonce. That's it. There might be people who walk around who think they got her voice, but boo, Beyonce is Beyonce. So when you start to think about it like that, like, I am unique. I have an individual purpose. God has created me for something that nobody else in this world can do. You realize that, like, yeah, we might all be the same bread, or we might all be the same water. But at the end of the day, my purpose as Fiji is different from Poland. My purpose as Poland is different from Aquafina. My purpose as Aquafina is different from Smart Water, Essentia, whatever you want to call it. But you have to just live in knowing that, like, I have a purpose. I have a reason for being, and I am a unique individual. And just repeating that to myself is really what helped me in terms of my comparison, because it's not easy.
Yeah. And I think that's an important point that you just hit on too, is that, like, we are not experts at all. Like, I am not fixed by any means stretch of the imagination. I feel like I really believe this, but I feel like the moment you stop learning is when you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no, like, if you think about a library, there's no way you're ever going to read every single book in a library. It's just not
No.
possible. Even if you think about
No.
a section, it's just not possible. So it's the same way when it comes to working on yourself, learning and growing. It's a continuous journey. So we are talking about like past stuff as well as present struggles. Like, this is what I'm still currently working on, and it's a journey, not a destination. So it's not going to stop. And honestly, like, all of this, the biggest part of knowing that you're not in control and the biggest way to combat it is to really trust the process. Whether you are a spiritual person or you religious person, or whatever it is that you believe, all of us, or whoever you pray to, or even if you don't, whatever it is that you believe, you got to learn to trust the process of life. And it is difficult to do that. But once again, I feel like, the biggest reminder for society, the world, about not being in control has been COVID-19. We are not in control of any of this. Like,
let me tell you about Sister Corona.
What? You don't know when you're going to go back inside. Corona don't care if you had a 30th birthday party planned.
No, they
hey, up, girl. No, they don't care. They don't care that you were graduating. They don't care that you were getting
oh my gosh.
COVID-19 does not give a hoot.
Sister Corona don't care about your weddings. Sister Corona don't care about your jobs, because some people unfortunately got laid off in this situation, in this season. Some people unfortunately are remote working. Some people are unfortunately are frontliners and are out there really busting their ass trying to save or support a lot of people who do have COVID. Sister Corona don't care about none of that.
I mean, my grandmother died. My grandmother died in Haiti, and we cannot fly to go say her goodbye. We don't know when we're going to be able to do that. You may not be in control of what happens to you, but you are in control of how you react to it.
How you react.
And that is the most important thing. Like, you got to learn to trust the process. I mean, even like a real quick personal thing, like, most of my friends probably forget about this, but I started a whole other master's program. And I did it for a whole year.
I know that.
I did a whole year stint in public policy. And after the money, the time, I was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, I was not connecting to this. Transferred school, transferred to a whole new program. I ended up a master's in nonprofit management from WB. That has nothing to do with the policy. Now, even though right now I'm on a transitional phase of my career, I do not regret my master's program. And I know and deep within that master's program, even though it's in public policy, is walking me for a purpose, wherever I may end up being. I don't regret it, but it's just like I'm just choosing to trust in the process to allow God to take me in the path that I'm supposed to be. And so, once again, this is not easy. This is a constant, everyday reminder, struggle. Like,
yes, that's exactly it. And like, one thing I also just wanted to add is, like, a lot of times we think that, like, we may think that the situation that we're in physically doesn't feel right, but sometimes it's also a character builder. So just be mindful that, like, the situation may suck. The situation may not be where you thought you would be, but it's building your character of patience. It's building your character of love. It's building your character of whatever it is that you struggle with within your character. Like, I'm the kind of person that I don't like conflict, not even a little bit, but in the position that I am right now, in my current job, I am constantly met with conflict. Like, I mean, wow, it's ridiculous. It's like difficult for me. And like, although I may not love essentially every part of what I'm doing, I realize that, like, maybe this is a way to build my character. So, just always think about, like, like, going back a little bit to failures, just think about, like, what about this is building all parts of me? It may not build you physically, but what is it building emotionally? What is it building mentally? What is it building spiritually? I think about, like, for example, working out. You may go on a scale every day and you're like, dang, I'm the same size, same size, same size. But what you built is endurance. What you built is consistency. You're working out, like you're working out consistently. And although you look at the scale and it says one thing, you are building a character in you that is actually better than whatever physical things you can see. So just remember that, like, no matter what the situation is, like, of course, always let go of trying to be in control of the situation, but remember that, like, in letting go of control, you're also building your character.
Yeah, I think that captures like our first topic. I mean, it's really like you ain't in control, sis, and or bro. I mean, whoever's listening,
Okay.
but like you just gotta let it go. Like, listen,
Let it go and live. Let it go and live. Like, no one's saying
short.
yeah. No one's saying like not to have ideas of the future and things like that, but like also just be understanding that if life doesn't turn out the way that you expected it to be or the way you planned it to be or written it down, that it's not the end of life. It's just, okay, let it work out. That sucked. Cool. Back to the drawing board. I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah, you're still gonna try, you're still gonna have ambitions, but it's just that if you fail at it, it doesn't have to break you.
Yes, it doesn't have to break you. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's literally just like, okay, I tried that. It didn't really work out. I wanted it to work out this way. That's what I planned for. It didn't really work out, but you know what? Whatever happens, happens. Everything happens for a reason is my favorite quote, just for this very reason. Like, at the end of the day, like, we have all these plans, but everything that has happened to you, whether it's a failure, whether it's a success, whatever it is all for good. It's all for your purpose. It all aligns to what it is that ultimately is going to make you happy.
And you just got to accept that. Like, so keep trying, keep going after things, but at the end of the day, maybe not attach such a rigid timeline to it. Don't beat yourself.
Don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up if you didn't achieve X, Y, and Z by this point of your life or whatever it is. Like,
don't let age pressure you. Don't let comparisons pressure you. Don't let failures pressure you. You got this.
And on a final note, I also will say too that like your surroundings do matter too when it comes to this. Like, I filter my Instagram, okay? Like, if I follow you, like, I follow certain people for a reason or whatever the case may be. But Instagram always kind of tends to show you like the same people over and over again. But outside of that, majority of the pages I follow, if I follow celebrities because they're positive celebrity, I don't follow mess. And then 2, I follow a lot of positive messages, Black love, Black natural hair. Like, a lot of things I see is just super positive and aligned with what I want to see and feel when I scroll on my Instagram. Like, literally, I think the Shade Room is the only page I follow that's mess.
Yeah, but it's mess that we need sometimes. Sometimes you need that good tea. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you need that good tea. You be like, ooh, what's happening? Because it doesn't really involve you directly. It involves like stuff. So you be like, ooh, so-and-so said what? So sometimes you need that mess. But 90% of your Instagram, as Esther just mentioned, should be aligned to your, like, what you want out of life and your identity and positivity or whatever. Like, it shouldn't be anything that negatively impacts you. If you got the Shade Room, I ain't hating on you because I got the Shade Room too. Sure. But
it's the energy you put out there is what you get back.
Receive. Yes, exactly. So I mean, 90% of your Shade Room, 90% of your Instagram should include the energy you want to receive in your spirit. And if you have 90% of the Shade Room, then baby, you might have to think about that.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, like we said, we will have a new topic posted every Friday. So we want you to join. And also, we want to hear from you. Like, what do you want us to talk about? And feel free to share your personal stories, your personal testimony with us. We will also have future guests come in to talk about their experiences and their testimonies as well. But like, this is a journey and we're all in this together. And by all, we also include you all. And it's like, we know life is not easy, but if we can, have a friend to talk to, have a glass of wine or water, like I said, judge, then
water.
You know,
Whatever works for you.
some people don't drink, but at least you can have a place to know that you're not alone. And this is really what this platform is for, is to let you know you are not alone.
Yes, essentially. So we're so excited that you were able to tune in to our very first podcast on the deep dive. Remember to always dig deep and think about yourself, what makes you happy, what fulfills you in life, because that's all we're here to do. Just share our experiences, share our self-reflection, our journey in life. We're still growing and learning. So anything we tell you is not things from the past, but also things we're currently experiencing. And we just thank you for joining us and being with us. And we hope that you were able to feel fulfilled and blessed and feel like you're doing your deep dive for yourself. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you all, and we will see you next week.
Next Friday. See you later. Bye.